Welcome to Conversations with Laurel, everyone. I am your host, Laurel McCargue. And today I've been really looking forward to this visit with author Kristin Homer, who wrote a book called A Taste for Fear. Dun, dun, dun. And I love the subtitle, Cursed in Suburbia, Book One. Welcome to my show, Kristin.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, first of all, before we get to your book, Um, I want to know a little bit more about you. So, your bio says that you're a retired linguist and information management professional. Now, I understand why you'd want to retire from being an information management specialist or an information management professional, but can you really retire from being a linguist? That was my first thought. And then I looked up linguist because everyone knows linguist, language, all that kind of stuff. But I was amazed by how many different types of linguists there are. And so,
Mhm.
what kind of linguist were you that you retired from?
Um, I so I'm going to step back from that a little
Yeah,
bit and just
yeah.
say I started getting into linguistics because I was interested in how the mind processes language and when you're learning other languages. Then I started studying linguistics and I ended up more in theoretical linguistics and cognitive theories of language. But when I graduated, I ended up building taxonomies for search engines during the dot-com boom. And
Oh,
then, yeah, and then from there, I ended up getting into building software and did that for Douglas County School District for several years. Then moved to Houston, worked for an information management consulting firm, and then built taxonomies and implemented software projects for larger organizations.
wow. So
Yeah, it's
because
kind of a weird route.
yeah, yeah, but fascinating because I mean there are so many different kinds, AI chatbots, right? Voice recognition software, any of that kind of stuff. Are you part of what makes Alexa sound the way she sounds?
No,
No.
no. But I did do things similar to, not to the same extent, but you look at how Amazon works and how they tag all of their products for sale. We basically set up tagging systems for documents for companies like Exxon and the teachers' retirement system of Texas and, large organizations like that. So people who worked in other departments could find information even if they didn't know the name of it or who had written it, things like that.
Okay, all right. This absolutely fascinates me, and I actually want to learn more about linguistics now. Um, did you love sentence diagramming back in school?
It's really funny. I didn't mind it. And when I first was in linguistics, my advisors had been looking at Chomsky's theory of language, and a lot of it was sentence diagramming,
Oh,
but that's not really what I got into. So
all
I,
right.
yeah, I stayed away from that.
Yeah, I don't even think they teach that anymore in schools. I
I
know that,
hope not.
well, yeah, I know that somewhere in my K through 12, and it was probably more like, I don't know, 6 through 12, somewhere in there, I learned sentence diagramming. And then when I went for my master's degree, there was a whole course on sentence diagramming, and oh, I hated it. However, it's kind of like a puzzle, and
Hmm.
if I were to go back now and maybe do a little bit on my own research, I think I might have a little bit more fun with it because I do love puzzling. But yeah, yeah, kids today probably don't even know what a sentence diagram is, right?
No, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea of linguistics, right? Language. How do you feel about the way it's changing right now? And we know language changes, right? It evolves. How do you feel about that?
I think it's just the way things are. I think it's exciting. I am married to someone who's a little bit more of a prescriptivist, and my mother-in-law is very concerned about the rules of grammar and language. But I think it's exciting the way things change and the new yeah, new terminology and all of that slang.
Yeah, it's taken me a while because I have one of those refrigerator magnets that says I'm silently judging your grammar
Yeah,
on my fridge.
I got that t-shirt from my mother-in-law.
I think someone gave it to me because, it's hard not to. And growing up, my dad, oh boy, he was right on us if we said anything wrong, if we conjugated something incorrectly, if we used the word like too many times because this is back in the 70s, the like the whole like phenomenon came and it's still with us, sadly, but
Yeah.
boy, he would stop us right away. So it's in my DNA, I think, to uh, correct if someone says something incorrectly. I'll correct it in my head, and it depends on who it is, whether I correct them or not. My husband's just
Well,
like,
and you taught English, right?
right,
So
right.
that was kind of your job for a little
That,
while.
yeah. And so the whole idea of, you can only break the rules when you know the rules.
Hmm.
I don't think that applies anymore. I think people just break the rules all the time. And so like, well, text messages, right? You don't use grammar, you don't, and yet the receiver typically can still understand what the message is. So in that case, I think it's much more efficient, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
for sure.
anyway, anyway, it evolves, and I'm glad it evolves, and I'm going to look more into linguistics because that fascinates me. Do you speak any other languages?
I speak German. I studied Spanish forever, but then I lived in Germany for a little while, and that just was kind of suffocated by the Germans. So now I'd like to go back and revive that. I studied a little bit of Russian. I don't speak that, and I studied a tiny bit of Norwegian, but German I still use, and I have friends in Germany, so
That's awesome. And
mostly I understand it all. So I've got a really good friend, and she speaks to me in German. I speak to her in English, and we just it works very well. I don't have to go back and figure out how I want to say things. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's incredible that we can learn so much just from the comfort of our homes.
Hmm.
So now in your retirement, you are a rescuer of discarded objects, right? I
Hmm.
think that's wonderful and funny, and I want to know where you find the discarded objects and what you do with them.
Uh, So my favorite place to find things is at like flea markets or thrift stores or antique stores. And I really love old documents and photos, old science books, textbooks, journals, letters, the little diary books that people would keep and they'd write down, I
Yeah.
did this today and this is what the weather was like. Um, those types of things. And then I've been turning them into collages. So I kind of mix them all together and then I sand them down with an orbital sander. And then I may paint on them and yeah, stuff like that. And then I've also rescued, I found this great mattress or bed spring at the dump in Chaffee County. They have a whole section where they put all of their metal, and
Yep,
as long
yep.
as you don't climb on anything, you can grab it. And so I took this, I have this the box springs hanging on my wall, and then I am the collector for all of our family photos. So I found a bunch of family photos, and those are now hanging on that. But I like old metal, old documents, and things that have just been tucked away in drawers for a long time, and people don't know what to do with them. I feel
Yeah.
like it gives me license to cut them up and do something else. So,
Oh, wow. So I should not burn my journals right away
no,
because
you can give them
someone
to me if you want. I'll do something with them
Hmm. We'll talk
or
we'll
give them
talk
to your
later.
kids.
We'll
Yeah.
talk later. I don't think my kids want to. That's funny. Man, the idea of using a box spring as a frame
I'll
for
send you a photo
yeah.
after we're done. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to see that. Ah. All right. All right. So, a taste for fear. And when you're typing this in, people who might be listening, You spell check might change it to a taste for feet, which will bring you to an entirely different audience. So don't go there. This is a taste for fear. You look like such a nice person. You seem like such a nice person. How many times have you heard that after people have read this?
Not very. I think I am a nice person, but I think you can be nice and still have a very dark side. And as long as you let it out in fiction and not in real life, and you keep your thoughts to yourself, then it's okay.
So I totally agree with you because I think I'm a nice person too. And and I have some books out there that are, compilations of very dark things. And people have asked me like, where did that come from? Right? Like, Laurel,
Hmm.
what the heck? I just read this dark ebb whatever story. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we all have complex spirits in us, and you can't be nice all the time, right? And
No,
so maybe we
no.
suppress some things, and then they have to come out somewhere. But so, what sparked the story idea? Because in this story, your main character, April, is cursed. So, where'd the idea come from? I dream, and so sometimes it comes from dreams, but where'd this one come from?
Um, I think it ultimately came from my love of vampires and
Ah,
um, and being a mother. And I love vampire stories because you have people who, through no fault of their own, are bitten and become monsters, basically, who have to feed on the people around them. And they were human, now they're not, and they're forced to do this kind of unethical thing, but they have to do it to survive. And all those vampire stories, especially in the more, and all the vampire stories that I've read, um, these people are typically younger, they are not connected, they don't have responsibilities, they can, yeah, they lead very different lives. And I liked the idea of taking a mom who is married, has kids, who has a job and friends, and suddenly she is turned into this monster through no fault of her own and is forced to do some unethical things. And you say she's not, that my character might not be nice. I feel like she is nice. She just doesn't have a choice, right?
yes.
And so I liked that idea. And then I went through a rough period raising my kids for a few years. We had some scary situations, and I was a little obsessed with fear, possessed by fear, I think, as a mom. And after I got over that, I loved the idea of this very anxious woman who suddenly had to feed on fear in order to survive. And it changes her. So, really, to me, the book is about change. And, she's perimenopausal, so she's also facing other changes in her life. Her daughter is about to graduate from high school. That's another change. But yeah, I love thinking about how a person has to change when events that she had no control over happen
Right.
in her life, and then how other people around her will accept that change. And she has no control over how her husband will accept it or her friends or,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And so I get the mother fear thing. Uh, what mother has not experienced fear
Right.
with her children? You're lucky if you haven't. Um, she so April, the main character, she inherits this curse, which she discovers, and they're really disturbing urges. So that, like, to me, it read as an addiction, really, and it led me to wonder what kind of research maybe you did. Obviously, the vampire thing. It's not like she doesn't drink blood. This is not a vampire story. The feeding is. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or I mean, it's not really a surprise, right? It's
She she is forced to, she feeds on other people's fear.
Yeah.
So, and I, s- I did try to base it. There is such a thing as this Mara curse that it's a Scandinavian. I think there are other creatures like this in other cultures, but this usually always female that would sneak into people's bedrooms at night, sit on their chest, and scare them and paralyze them. And I just added on to that she had to do it in order to, she was feeding on their fear,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so it is a craving. Now she's craving this fear. Her senses, she can hear people's hearts, she can smell, eventually, she can smell lies, she can smell their fear, and she's drawn to it. And so, yeah, she wants to make people in her life afraid because she wants that rush, and it is a rush. And if she doesn't do it, she starts to feel weakened. And if she goes for longer than a week, she could die, and then her daughter would inherit the curse. So she has to feed it, but she also has to control it because she's living with people and is in love with her husband. And yeah, it's a little rough.
She's really between a rock and a hard place, as they say, because she wants to cure it if possible. Um, and she immediately questions it, and what kind of mother would want to make her child afraid or make a stranger's child afraid? I mean, there are some parts in there where you just hold your breath because it's like, what is she doing? And if she, of course, is asking herself, what am I doing? Why, how could I do this? And it takes her a while before she discovers the cause of the curse, her mother who had left to save them. um her bestie, we meet her bestie, Gillian,
Mhm.
Jillian, Gillian,
Jillian.
Jillian. We meet her bestie, Jillian, who's a wonderful side character. One thing made my ears perk up, made me wonder about you. She's going to serve elk, and she says that elk is not as gamey as venison. And so my ears perked up because I know this. Do you hunt?
My
Or,
husband hunts, and
yeah?
actually, this Jillian is based on one of my best friends, and we kind of raised our kids together. She would never hunt, but I needed her to hunt because later on she needs a gun.
Right, right, right.
But no,
Yeah.
my husband hunts.
And the idea that, and for those of you out there who have never had elk before, oh my gosh, it is better than any steak you've ever had, and it's not gamey at all. Uh, we've hunted in the past. I've never killed anything, but I did get a roadkill elk one year
Oh,
back when
wow.
we were living in Leadville, 2 in the morning. We got a
Uh-huh.
call from the sheriff's department, and they're like, "Can you come get this? Yeah, get
Oh,
this
wow.
elk meat." And
Yeah.
and I had learned to talk about being able to learn things. I had learned how to harvest meat from an animal, the gutless method, by the way. Those of you who are interested in learning this, it's fascinating. 2 in the morning, I'm carving up an elk with my husband, just holding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Anyway,
That's
uh,
wild.
so April, she's searching for a cure, early on because she doesn't want this because it's all consuming. She figures out kind of how to control it, and that you have some kind of subtle humor in there too. Kind of going to horror shows, the movies, to kind of fear on little bits and get little hits that she needs, which I thought was wonderful. But she goes to a psychic, and she goes to a witch, and people today, and I'm wondering a little bit about it, how you feel about this. There are a lot of people today who mock the idea of psychics and witches and people who have the ability to contact things we can't see. Kind of wondering how you feel about that. I mean, I always feel like we are so limited by our senses, and our senses are flawed. So,
Yeah,
what's
no,
your
I agree
experience?
with that. I totally agree with that. And I feel like we're also limited by the questions we ask we don't know what we don't know, right? And if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to maybe uncover what's really out there. And we only know so much, and that totally, you know, everything is based on our assumptions, and our assumptions may be wrong, right?
Yes. Yes. And
So
again, yeah.
there could be a lot more out there than we're aware of. And I've certainly had experiences where um, I've had a dream about someone who I haven't seen for years. And the next day they called out of the blue and said they were in the same city I was living in overseas. And yeah, it was bizarre. I've had lots of things like that happen.
I have
I
too.
think it's a lot more out there than we're aware of.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we didn't know what germs were until, microscopes were improved and developed. And yeah, we still don't know so much. I mean, people
Right.
ask, where do you get your inspiration? I don't know. I don't know. Where I don't know where it comes from. It comes, right?
Hmm.
I mean, no one taught me inspiration.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's exciting though. I think it's exciting because the fact that we don't know so much. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much more to learn. Always. I really feel like if you're not learning something every day, you're missing the boat.
Yeah, it's what's the point, right?
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
experiencing new things and learning new things. And
yeah. Another kind of funny thing, April, she binge watches Bones. Was Bones a favorite show of yours? We loved Bones, that series.
I love Bones, but if I had to be honest, I would say I binged watched Vampire Diaries and those kinds of shows, but I needed her to be more interested in forensic
Yeah.
science. Bones was
Yeah,
her show,
that
but I
that
do
def
like it.
yeah, that definitely worked. There's so many good shows. Oh, speaking of which, and I just shared this with some friends, and it has nothing to do with your book, A Taste for Fear. It has nothing to do with you, but we just watched Paddington 2 the other night.
Oh,
I really know nothing about Paddington other than he was a bear, and when my son suggested we watch it, I'm like, no, kid show. Oh my gosh, it was the most delightful movie I have ever seen. And Hugh Grant is in it,
okay.
and he is fabulous. And we laughed our asses off. And it was just wonderful and surprising and suspenseful. And Paddington 2, I'm telling you, watch it. It's
All right. I'll check it out.
if you're looking for something to lighten your day and, take you away from the craziness that is our world right now. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sponsored by any movie places. So in A Taste for Fear by Kristin Homer, those of you who are just listening, you have the subplot of a killer of young girls. Oh my gosh. And it's not hidden. I love that. We pretty much know who it is. And so the suspense is trying to find out, what happens, and I'm not going to tell you what happens, but um holy mackerel, so creepy and so credible. How did you do that?
Well, first, the reason we know who it is because to me, this is an origin story. So I was more interested in how April became a monster, and the serial killer is important in it to kind of further that story for her.
Yeah.
Um, I so there is something that's on the sign of the hamburger stand that he is putting up there. And it's from a photo I took up in Frisco, Colorado in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a hamburger place up there, and they had that exact same sign up there, something about cheese curds and Jesus, and there was a Bible quote on it. And I still have the picture, it's hanging up in my room. And I thought that kind of led me to that character and kind of he needed some justification for why he
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
doing the things he was doing. And um, yeah, so. that hamburger quote,
Yeah.
hamburger stand quote is the inspiration for that. And I was really happy to use it because I've been schlepping it around every place I moved. I've had this picture and I have another one too, but um, yeah, so that was his inspiration. And then, yeah, I worked with a book coach, Claire Fishback,
Okay.
and down in Denver, and she was so helpful in helping me dive a little deeper into his character and his motivations. And I think she really helped me with him, bring him on the put him on the
It,
page.
yeah, it really, really well done. Oh my gosh. You talk
Thank
about pictures,
you.
I'll never, I still have an Instagram, Instagram, a Polaroid picture of a sign, eat here and get gas, which just, how does that not just crack
I
you
love
up?
that.
I don't know. Yeah. Um, I want to read a passage that is really powerful to me and some women out there might also feel this. She's talking about her husband, Max, and how he just doesn't get it. We're on page 207, and he's struggling with her abilities. And of course, the the relief she feels when she confesses, to her husband and, ultimately to her friend, because, to hold on to a secret like that is really, really difficult. So her husband is trying to deal with it, and he's so supportive. He's a wonderful character. But she is thinking to her, she's thinking, he didn't get it. He couldn't get it. He hadn't been trapped between lockers in middle school with three boys watching as one touched her breast. He had never been pulled onto a teacher's lap when asking about a grade, and he'd never been cornered and groped by a man on the way to a restaurant bathroom. Her list of experiences with male predators was nauseatingly long. Max didn't have a list. Oh, I kind of have goosebumps there because, and I'm imagining maybe some of this came from uh, personal experience, but I mean, I think back to being a child. I mean, in my own neighborhood where I grew up, in the swimming pool, with one of the dads, kind of tossing us into the air in the pool, which was great fun, but he took far too long, getting us in the right
Yeah.
position before and sensing again, being a really a young kid, feeling like it was weird, but loving the fact that we got thrown into a pool, and then later babysitting for some of them and having one of the fathers try to kiss me. I'm like 12,
Oh,
13, and of course times in the army where having to defend myself uh, far more often than I would want. Um, I don't think men can get that.
no, and I honestly, I don't know any women our age that have not been through several experiences like that. It's horrible,
Yeah.
but I'm really hopeful that things are different today. I think women are a lot more vocal about it. It's not just, oh, that's just men, you know.
Yeah.
It's we don't tolerate it anymore, but it's still there.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering why you put that in this book because it's powerful.
Well, it's, all of those experiences have happened to me. And I think it felt really good to just put it down and I think writing what you know does resonate with people. I'm not
Yeah.
alone, you know.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Well, thanks for that, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But it makes you think. It makes you wonder. It makes you be that much more protective too of young people. And
Well,
Yeah.
and I think there's this anger that women have, that we have in us because of these experiences. And I don't think men really understand the level of anger that I don't think women even understand it, right? But we all have this anger inside of us because of these experiences. And um, yeah,
Yeah.
we suppress it.
And then maybe it comes out in strange
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So, oh, at the start of each chapter, you have these monster quotes, or a lot of quotes. Where did you find those? That was just a great
I
idea, by the
just found those
way.
online on uh, Goodreads, or I would just type in, I need a quote like this. The last quote that Melville says is mine, but um,
Do you remember it? Or should
uh,
I?
let me
Because there's some
see.
really fun ones in there.
I gotta find the last one.
Let's see. We're both looking in our books.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yes. Fear is the monster we invite in. Embrace it, and it strikes between the eyes. Relax your grip, and it slithers away.
Yeah. And you deal a little bit about uh, the person who is cursed or who has monsters is somewhat complicit in it.
Well, to me, it's more um, if I think going back to when I was struggling with one of my kids, I was embracing that fear. I was like letting it hold on to me, and it was all I could think about. But once I started focusing on other things, and I was able to release it, and it's really, I had given fear that power over myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and releasing it by myself, by allowing myself to release it and kind of understanding there wasn't a lot I could do,
Yeah.
um, allowed me to let it go. But I had allowed it to control me that way, right? I had the power to let it go.
Yeah. Uh, I think we have the power to let a lot of things go, right? Think of the idea of forgiveness,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Mm. It's a
we
tough
have a
one.
lot more power that way than we realize.
Yeah. And I don't know that we ever can totally let things go, right? I mean, I feel like I've let go a lot of fear from my own kids who are adults now, but I think in the back of my mind, there's always going to be a little tickle.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but it is what it is. So, one person, I think it's yeah, the witch Melvina, who she goes to, when she says she wants to be cured, the witch is like, why? Why would you want to be cured? This is kind of amazing to have this, right? And so that whole idea of now she's in kind of this moral quagmire about what she does with this because there's an offer that maybe there are some financial opportunities to be gained. So I thought that was an absolutely fabulous thing to throw into the mix because already she's dealing with so much. So
Hmm.
uh,
Thanks. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
How
to me, it's a turning point. It's a total shift in perspective, right? Which is all about accepting change. It's that it's there. It's just how we look at it. And this woman looks at this power that April has and is wondering, why would you want to get rid of that? There's a lot you could do with that.
right, right. So I have to ask now because I just recently finished reading this. When is book two coming out?
I'm really
Or
trying.
or is there going to be a book two? Because
There is a
I,
book too.
all right,
There's
because
a,
it doesn't have to
I'm
be.
no, I've always envisioned this being a trilogy, and I probably have six more chapters to write in my
Oh,
first draft of book two. And once I do that, then I have a lot of rewriting to do, but I'm just trying to get the full story out. And
okay.
it's been hard because I've gone back and forth on what I think should happen with April and her husband Max, and trying to be realistic, but also, um, yeah, believing in love. So I'm not quite sure. I'm still not quite sure how it's going to end, but I'm close to the end. So,
All right. Did you know how this one was going to end when you first started?
uh, I knew I knew the ending scene with April's dad and daughter. I knew that would be one of the ending scenes,
Okay.
and I knew what would happen with Lucas Fortin and April. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But a lot of the other stuff, to me, writing is like magic. You sit down and all of a sudden these people are talking, and yeah, it's very addictive. And so I don't always know, I really don't know what's going to happen until I am sitting in a chair with my hands on a keyboard.
So you're a pantser. You're more of a pantser than a planner.
I would say yes, and then but I have tried working with this book coach, Claire Fishback. I have tried to think about it in terms of this happens and then this happens. This happens and then this happens. And right now, I'm also going through it and looking at each scene and figuring out what it does for April's internal story or for the external story, and trying to make sure there's movement in each scene, and do I need to go deeper in some areas. So I do a little bit of planning up front, like a paragraph that says this happens and this happens, this
Yeah.
happens and this happens. And then I write it, and then I go back and try and plot it out again to make sure that there's emotional movement and plot movement in each scene.
Yeah, and writing a second book or a trilogy is, I think, more difficult because you have to remember so much. You have to.
It's so much more difficult.
It is, and the consistency with everything. Yeah, because oftentimes if you write something, and it's out there and it's gone, yeah, I tend to forget sometimes some of the stuff that I've written in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just reread it for this, and also because I need to tie up the second book, and um yeah, I
Well,
forget.
yay. I'm glad that there's a second book coming out and possibly a
Thank
third
you.
because again, I thought, this could be a standalone. It really could. Because you can leave readers wondering where the characters go from there,
Mhm.
having the revelations that they have. But I'm glad that you're going to do more with it. So yay. Kristin Homer, what advice might you give writers out there who might have an idea for a story and not sure
I
what to do
think
with their idea?
number one is be persistent. I think a lot of people have ideas,
Yeah.
but if you don't get your butt in a chair and
Or on a ball.
write, yeah, or on a ball, uh, it's not going to matter. And I think writing is hard work. I think part of it is a solitary activity, but I think it's better when you have a support group, like a critique group, like Central Colorado Writers, or other friends who are writers, people who are willing to say, I'll read it for you. I'll give you some feedback. But I think the biggest advice is just do it, and do it regularly, and allow your first draft to be total crap, and know that it will be, and that um, you will make it better after you get your story down. But just to keep doing it, you've got to just do it.
Just do it. And
Yeah,
we are
and don't, it's not about the research. It's not about brainstorming. It's about putting words on the page, and you have to just keep putting words on the page so that you can get something good out of it.
right. Yeah, that first crop edition. But then you
Mhm.
do the research. Like if you
Yeah.
need to, if you need to. Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
some people can get totally trapped in the research world.
It's an excuse. Yes, it's horrible procrastination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and while research is wonderful, and we can learn whatever we want to learn. It's out there. The knowledge of the world is at our fingertips right now, and that in itself is good and noble. But if your goal is to actually publish a book, yeah, you gotta get it out of your head
Hmm.
and get it onto the page. Oh my goodness, this has been really fun. I knew that it would be really fun. Listeners out there, the author, Kristin Homer, the novel A Taste for Fear, Cursed in Suburbia. That just that just tickles me for some reason because I grew up in Suburbia. Book one.
Mm.
Book two is coming out. Do you have kind of have a maybe a date where book two might come out?
Oh my God. I hope it's by
Uh,
the end of this year.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes.
I believe in you. I totally believe in
Thank
you,
you.
especially with your support group. I know about your support group. Listeners out there, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions of Kristin Homer, type them below and she'll get them. Kristin, thank you so much for joining me on Conversations with Laurel, and thank you for this really fun, uh, thought-provoking book about monsters and how we really maybe we all have a little bit of a monster in us.
Thank you, Laurel, for the opportunity and for encouraging me to do it. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Keep being awesome. We'll see you around town. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.